Detective Alex Parker stared at the file on his desk, his brow furrowed in concentration. The case had been assigned to him just that morning, but already it was proving to be a puzzling one. A body had been discovered in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, and the circumstances surrounding the death were shrouded in mystery. Alex glanced at the clock on the wall. It was nearing midnight, but he knew he couldn't rest until he had unraveled the truth behind the victim's demise. With a keen sense of determination, he grabbed his coat and headed out into the cold night air. The warehouse loomed in the distance, its dark silhouette standing stark against the moonlit sky. Alex parked his car nearby and approached the building cautiously, his footsteps echoing in the empty street. As he drew closer, he could see the yellow police tape fluttering in the breeze, cordoning off the entrance like a silent sentinel. With a sense of trepidation, Alex ducked beneath the tape and stepped inside the warehouse. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and he wrinkled his nose in disgust as he surveyed the scene before him. The victim lay sprawled on the floor, her body twisted at an unnatural angle. Blood pooled around her head, staining the concrete floor crimson. Alex approached cautiously, his heart heavy with sorrow at the sight before him. He knelt beside the victim and examined her closely. She was young, no more than 25 years old, with long blonde hair and delicate features. Her eyes were closed, as if in peaceful slumber, but the gaping wound on her forehead told a different story. Alex sighed and rose to his feet, his mind already racing with questions. Who was this woman, and what had led to her untimely demise? He knew he wouldn't rest until he had uncovered the truth. Back at the precinct, Alex pored over the case file, his brow furrowed in concentration. The victim had been identified as Emily Johnson, a recent college graduate who had moved to the city just a few months prior. She had no known enemies, no criminal record, nothing that would suggest a motive for her murder. Alex sighed in frustration and ran a hand through his hair. He knew he was missing something, some clue that would tie everything together and lead him to the killer. But no matter how hard he searched, he couldn't seem to find it. Just then, his partner, Detective Sarah Miller, entered the room, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. She took one look at Alex's frustrated expression and raised an eyebrow in concern. "Rough day?" she asked, taking a seat beside him. Alex sighed and nodded. "I just can't shake the feeling that we're missing something," he admitted. "Emily's murder doesn't make sense. She had no enemies, no reason to be targeted." Sarah frowned thoughtfully and took a sip of her coffee. "What about her personal life?" she suggested. "Did she have any friends or family we could talk to? Anyone who might know more about her?" Together, Alex and Sarah made their way to Emily's apartment, their minds buzzing with anticipation. Little did they know, they were about to uncover a secret that would turn the case on its head. Emily's apartment was small but tidy, with sunlight streaming in through the windows. Alex and Sarah surveyed the room carefully, searching for any clues that might shed light on the young woman's life. As they rummaged through Emily's belongings, Sarah came across a locked drawer hidden beneath the bed. With a sense of trepidation, she picked the lock and pulled it open, revealing a stack of letters tied together with a ribbon. Alex's eyes widened as he read the return address on the top envelope. It was from a man named Nathan Turner, Emily's ex-boyfriend. He had been arrested a year prior on charges of domestic violence, but the case had been dropped due to lack of evidence. Alex's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "That's a good idea," he said, grabbing his coat. "Let's pay a visit to Emily's apartment. Maybe we'll find something there that will shed some light on this case." Sarah's heart sank as she read the contents of the letters. They were filled with threats and angry accusations, evidence of a toxic relationship that had ended in tragedy. "We need to find this Nathan Turner," Sarah said, her voice trembling with anger. "He could be our prime suspect." Alex nodded grimly, his jaw clenched in determination. "Let's pay him a visit," he said, grabbing his coat. "It's time to bring Emily's killer to justice." Nathan Turner lived in a run-down apartment building on the outskirts of town. Alex and Sarah approached the building cautiously, their senses on high alert. They knew they were walking into a potentially dangerous situation, but they refused to back down. As they climbed the stairs to Nathan's apartment, they could hear the sounds of raised voices coming from inside. Alex exchanged a glance with Sarah and drew his gun, readying himself for whatever lay ahead. With a final nod of determination, Alex kicked open the door and burst into the apartment, his gun trained on Nathan Turner, who stood in the center of the room with a look of shock on his face. "You're under arrest for the murder of Emily Johnson," Alex declared, his voice ringing out with authority. Nathan's eyes widened in disbelief, and he took a step back, his hands trembling with fear. "I didn't do it," he protested, his voice shaky. But Alex wasn't convinced. He had seen the evidence, read the threatening letters, and he knew that Nathan had a motive for wanting Emily dead. As Nathan was led away in handcuffs, Sarah approached Alex, a look of relief on her face. "We did it," she said, her voice tinged with emotion. "We got him." But Alex's expression was grim as he glanced back at the apartment one last time. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right, that there was more to Emily's murder than met the eye. As the days turned into weeks, Alex couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over him since Nathan's arrest. He knew that something didn't add up, that there were still pieces of the puzzle missing. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex delved deeper into Emily's past, scouring through her belongings and interviewing anyone who might have known her. And then, finally, he stumbled upon a clue that would change everything. Buried deep within Emily's phone records was a number that she had called repeatedly in the weeks leading up to her death. Alex recognized the area code immediately. It belonged to a notorious drug dealer named Carlos Ramirez, a man with a long history of violence and intimidation. With a sinking feeling in his stomach, Alex realized that Emily had been involved in something far more dangerous than he had ever imagined, and whoever had killed her was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike again. Determined to bring Emily's killer to justice, Alex set out to track down Carlos Ramirez, knowing that he held the key to unraveling the mystery surrounding her death. With Sarah by his side, Alex delved deep into the city's underworld, following every lead and chasing down every clue that might lead them to Ramirez. Their search led them to a run-down apartment building on the outskirts of town, where Ramirez was rumored to be hiding out. As they approached the building, Alex's heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and dread. He knew that confronting Ramirez would be dangerous, but he refused to let fear hold him back. With guns drawn, Alex and Sarah burst into the apartment, ready for whatever lay ahead. But the scene that greeted them was even worse than they had imagined. Ramirez stood in the center of the room, surrounded by his henchmen. "Welcome, detectives," Ramirez sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "I've been expecting you." Alex's blood ran cold as he realized the truth. Ramirez had been the one pulling the strings all along, orchestrating Emily's murder to send a message to anyone who dared to defy him. With a surge of adrenaline, Alex lunged forward, his gun trained on Ramirez. But before he could take a shot, Ramirez's henchmen sprang into action, unleashing a barrage of gunfire. Bullets flew through the air as Alex and Sarah ducked for cover, their hearts pounding with fear. But they refused to back down, fighting tooth and nail to bring Ramirez to justice and avenge Emily's death. In the chaos that ensued, Alex spotted an opportunity and seized it with both hands. With a well-aimed shot, he managed to take down Ramirez's henchmen, leaving the crime boss vulnerable and exposed. With a roar of anger, Ramirez lunged at Alex, his fists flying with deadly precision. But Alex was ready for him, meeting his blows with skill and determination. With one final punch, he sent Ramirez sprawling to the ground, defeated and powerless. As the dust settled and the adrenaline began to fade. But he knew that her death had not been in vain. With Ramirez behind bars, justice had finally been served, and Emily's memory would live on as a symbol of courage and resilience in the face of adversity. As Alex and Sarah emerged from the apartment building, the first rays of dawn began to break through the darkness, casting a warm glow over the city skyline. And though the shadows of deception still lingered in the air, they knew that they had emerged victorious, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.